What's up, guys? Mr. Dan here, back again with another Storytime video. Typically, my Storytime videos relate to a unique circumstance or a bit of nostalgia around a viewing experience of mine when I was a child or at least a younger person. Today, I'm going to relate that to my experience last weekend. On Sunday, while most of you were watching the Super Bowl, I was watching HorrorBowl. My son and I went to Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, home of the historic Colonial Theater, and watched HorrorBowl. They had their Three Kings event. They were showing 3 films by Stephen King. We could not stay for the last one, which was The Shining, but we did get to see 2 of them, and we had a great time. I wanted to go last year when they had Tom Atkins Bowl, and something came up at the last minute, and I couldn't. So I've really been dying to get there. I've never been there before. Nice town, great-looking theater, great bunch of people. We really enjoyed ourselves. And just so you know, the Colonial Theater is the theater that was used in the 1950s movie The Blob. At the end of the film, the Blob invades the theater. He comes through the vents, and everyone runs out. So now they have a Blob Fest there once a year, and people will actually recreate the running out of the theater, and it's almost like sort of a festival / horror convention. It's in the theater and out on the streets. So I really would like to attend if I can. And I would certainly like to go back and walk around the town. I mean, they have, I think they've made some announcements about future engagements. And while they do have mainstream movies like Knock at the Cabin, I think, and Cocaine Bear, things like that, we saw trailers for those. They have special engagements of movies like Big Trouble in Little China, which they announced. So it was a great day, great experience. Again, very nice town. Now, okay, so the films were Creepshow, Christine, and The Shining. My experience with Creepshow is I was staying over at a friend's house in high school. I'm thinking maybe like freshman year of high school. And he had a VHS tape of Creepshow. So, of course, we watched it all the way through. We loved it. All the jump scares, all the gore, all the homages to comic books. And, of course, the next day we put it back in and we went to some of our favorite parts. And I remember watching the Crate episode multiple times, or at least the good parts of it, the gory parts of it. So that was a lot of fun to watch. My son enjoyed that one. The print that they had, it was 35 millimeter, both films. The print that they had for Creepshow was pretty washed out and grainy, but it really didn't detract from the experience. In a way, it almost added to it. But for Christine looked great in 35 millimeter. It looked flawless, and it looked like it came out last week. My experience with Christine was, I specifically remember watching that late one night when everyone else went to sleep. I can't remember if I had read the book first or I read it after the movie, but all of those 80s Stephen King adaptations, I mean, I also read all the books, Cujo, Firestarter. I mean, what can you say? What a great movie. Watching it on the big screen, I was amazed at how absorbed and how drawn in I was, despite having seen this so many times. I even noticed a plot point that I hadn't really noticed or forgotten. Darnell, the garage owner, I believe, works at the factory in the beginning of the film. So that's like him 20 years earlier, opening the door and discovering the dead body in Christine when it's coming off of the assembly line. And then he even mentions that he knew a guy that had a car like that. So he even knew the brother of the Robert Blossom character. He was like, yeah, that guy was a real asshole, because he was so obsessed with his car. All of the famous scenes looked fantastic. The music was fantastic. The other thing that I took away from watching it on the big screen is, a lot of the focus is on the car. Let me tell you something. Keith Gordon knocked that role out of the park. For a guy who kind of got away from acting and went more into directing, I think people have forgotten what a fantastic job he did in that role. there's the scene towards the end when they're driving on the highway and he's got it up to 100, and Dennis is getting nervous and he goes into the wrong lane, and by that point he is completely turned. You know, it's a gradual process as Christine begins to corrupt his soul, essentially. He's completely on the dark side at that point, and it's a phenomenal transformation. Just to see that on the big screen as he's driving down the road, his facial expressions, the lights changing, almost look like it's changing the shape of his face. It really was a phenomenal performance. There's the one scene where he walks away from the table and his dad's like, "Get back here, young man," and he puts his hand on Arnie, and then Arnie flips him around and puts him in a chokehold real quick, and then gives him a little slap in the face and walks away. That was like mesmerizing. I mean, you could have heard a pin drop in that theater, and I'm quite sure 95% of the people in that theater had seen it before. So what a great experience. Can't wait to go back again. What is your experience with these films? Do you guys have any fond memories of watching these films or any other Stephen King films? Let me know in the comments below. And I'll check you guys out next time. Later.